Hey everybody, today we're going to work on writing some inequality word problems. We're going to do this today and tomorrow. Today we're going to do single problems and tomorrow we'll do systems. First thing is, here is a list of some key phrases that correlate with inequality symbols. These will not be given to you on a standardized test, so the best thing you can do is you're going to need to memorize these. The only thing that I would add to this that appears not to be here is at most. Okay, at most is a less than or equal to sign, and then you have maximum. I've seen that used quite a bit, and then at least and minimum is with a greater than or equal to. Okay, so the form we're doing today is very similar to y equals mx plus b form. It is a rate, kind of like your slope, multiplied by your variable, and then you add, on a graph it would be a y-intercept. In words, it is some type of initial amount or value. It might be a one-time fee, otherwise known maybe as a flat fee. And then instead of an equal sign, you're going to have an inequality symbol here. And then you're going to have a total on the other side. Okay? Okay, so we've got a lot of things to find in the word problem in order to solve this. So, let's start here. Taxi charges a flat rate of $1.75 plus 65 cents a mile. If Erica has at most, at most $10. So I always do the inequality and the total first. Find that. So here we are with at most $10. And if you look back, at most is a less than or equal to sign. So this is going to be less than or equal to 10. Okay, so we got this part. Now we need our variable. Well, our variable comes from what our question is, and it is how far. So when we look here, it says 65 cents per mile, so distance or how far is being described in miles. So how far, we're going to make that an M because what we're looking for is the number of miles. Okay. And then when we get to find our rate versus our initial amount, rates, a lot of times, you can look for words like per or each or every. And a key here is, sometimes they'll have this word mentioned twice, but here's the key. The way you know it's the rate that goes with the variable is since your unknown is miles, notice your rate says per mile. So that's how we know those two get multiplied together. Okay? Per is indicating a rate. Per mile means it goes with the variable. Okay, so this is my rate. And then notice we've got a flat fee that's just a one-time charge of $1.75 in order for you to get this taxi. So this is my one-time fee. So now let's put it all together. Okay, and let's make sure right up high because we got to solve this. So my rate is 0.65, 65 cents. My variable is miles, so we're multiplying by miles. We're going to add our flat fee of $1.75, and then comes the inequality symbol with the total, which is less than or equal to 10. So y'all, this is your inequality. Now we need to solve it in order to answer the question properly. So it's a two-step inequality, so we're going to subtract $1.75 on both sides of the inequality. Bring down 0.65 M. Bring down your inequality symbol. You can pop this in the calculator. So make sure you have a calculator handy. I think if you pop this in the calculator, you're going to get $8.25. Okay. Okay, now last step is to divide both sides by 0.65. So I'm left with an M. Make sure that you don't bring down an equal sign, because this inequality symbol is going to be very important. Now let's divide in the calculator. So we're going to do 8.25 divided by 0.65, and we get roughly 12.7. Just go ahead and write that down, 12.7. Now, you might say, great, we're done. This is my inequality. I'm in good shape. This is what we've got to be careful about. Okay. The number of miles she can travel is less than or equal to 12.7. So let's say we have, this is a multiple choice test, and the following answers are given. Okay. We've got 12 miles, 13 miles, 14 miles. We'll just stop right there. Okay. So these are your answer choices. Well, that's where we have to understand what this means. Because she was limited to $10, it says that the miles she can go is less than or equal to 12.7. So you may think round up, but we can't round up. The reason why is if we round it up, we're going to end up spending more than $10, and we can't do that. So the maximum number of miles that they can drive is 12. So 12 would be your answer. So be careful that when you work out your inequality that you understand what it means so that you can answer the final questions. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to skip this one because I'm going to let you work this one by yourself. And let's flip over on the back because I want to do another one that can be kind of funny. I want to try to hit every kind of little weird one here. So we're going to do Ryan the wrestler. Excuse me. So Ryan's a wrestler. He's trying to make weight. He currently weighs 200 pounds. He cuts 2 pounds per week. How many weeks will it take him to weigh less than 175? So first of all, on this side of your paper, go ahead and write your equation form. Remember, we've got a rate multiplied times your variable. We're going to add our initial amount or our one-time fee or our one-time amount. And then we've got our inequality symbol and then our total. So again, I always like to find my total and my inequality symbol first. So, how many weeks will it take him to weigh less than 175 pounds? So this is my total and this is my inequality symbol. This is less than 175 pounds. Now we just need to find our rate, our variable, and our initial or one-time amount. So let's start with our variable. Our variable always comes from the question. Well, the question is, how many weeks? So my variable, I'm going to let it be W, is going to represent the number of weeks. Okay? So I've got my variable. Now remember, my rate has words like per and for each and every, and it needs to match with the variable. So if we look at these two numbers, this one says 2 pounds per, there's your buzzword that says this is a rate, and to double check it, it's per week. Your variable is weeks, so per week and weeks go together. So this is my rate, okay? Now, there's something else funny about this. He is not adding pounds, he is cutting pounds. So your rate is going to be negative. Your rate is going to be negative because he is losing weight. Okay, what is the starting amount? Well, he currently weighs 200 pounds. This is your starting amount. So now let's fill in the stuff. So my rate is negative 2 times my variable, which is number of weeks. Notice the negative because he's losing weight. plus my initial weight, which was 200 pounds, and now my inequality symbol and my total. Okay. And now we're going to solve this inequality. So it's a two-step, so we're going to subtract 200 from both sides of the inequality symbol. Bring down your negative 2w. Bring down your inequality symbol because it's important. And then 175 minus 200 is negative 25. Okay, now this brings up another little rule that we need to remember when we're dealing with inequalities. It's called the golden rule. Hopefully we have learned the golden rule. It says that whenever I divide both sides by a negative number, the inequality symbol switches direction. It also works if I multiply both sides by a negative number. So I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 2, and that switches the inequality symbol. Okay, that's the golden rule. Hopefully we learned that back when we were solving inequalities, and we just need a little reminder. So now the negative 2's cancel. We bring down the w, and then we're going to pop that in the calculator, and we get 12.5. Okay, now, do we understand what this means? Okay, so what this means is, it says how many weeks will it take him to weigh less than 175 pounds? Number of weeks is greater than 12.5 weeks. Okay, so at week 12, he is not going to be less than 175 pounds. We've got to go up a week. We've got to do something greater than 12.5. So again, on a multiple choice test, if they had 12 weeks and they had 13 weeks as your answer, you would want to choose 13 weeks because we're looking for the number of weeks greater than 12.5. Okay, so your answer here would be 13 weeks. So again, just be careful that you understand what the inequality means. All right. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys finish these, but let's go ahead and practice setting one up. Let's go back to the front page, start back to the ones you haven't done. And the first thing that I want you to do, and teachers, after I explain this, let's pause the video for a minute and let them pick out the rate, the variable, the initial amount, the inequality symbol, and the total. Okay, once you pick all that out, I want you to write an inequality, and then, teachers, you can resume the video, and let's see if y'all got it right. So let's pause the video now and try to get our inequality for this. Okay, hopefully you had a few minutes to figure this out, so let's go over just the equation, and then I'm going to let you guys solve it. So Chris wants to order DVDs. Each DVD is $15.99, and there is shipping for the whole order that costs $9.99. And here's where I always find my inequality and my total. He can spend no more than $100. So if you look to the top and figure out what symbol that is, no more than is a less than or equal to sign. No more than $100. That means he can't go over $100. Okay, so we got this part. Okay, now I need my variable. Well, it's the question. How many DVDs? So this tells me my variable, we'll just let it be a D, which equals the number of DVDs that he buys. Okay. Now that I've got my variable, remember my variable is associated with my rate. So we've got two numbers here. We've got $9.99, that's the shipping, and notice it says each DVD is $15.99. So y'all, this is your rate. It's $15.99 for each DVD. Each DVD goes with your variable. So this is your rate. And your one-time fee is $9.99 to pay for the shipping. So now let's put this all in here. Okay, so my rate is $15.99. That gets multiplied times my variable, which is D, representing the number of DVDs. I need to add on like a flat rate, which is $9.99. And then I need my inequality symbol and my total. All right? So now you're going to subtract $9.99, divide by $15.99, and see if you can answer how many DVDs. Remember, decimals really don't represent DVDs. You can have 1, 2, you can have 7, 8, 9, but make sure you pick the appropriate one based on what the inequality symbol means. So let's solve that and find out how many DVDs he can buy. And then if you would, we're going to finish the other 3 on this paper and turn it in. Hope you guys have a great day.